Hey, I'm Dean and this is Legacy Voyage. In Season 1, I'm documenting my journey to earning my first 100K net worth as a full-time college student. Join me as I share some of the lessons I learned along the way. I'm super excited because I got an internship that's starting this fall for school. At Northwestern, they have something called the CFS program. It's called Chicago Field Studies. I get to go in and work for free. I don't have to take any classes. I can go and just learn as much as I can. That's what I'm really looking forward to, especially this fall, because I'm starting at as a private equity intern at this search fund called Alliance Growth Partners. Yesterday, we just hopped off the call. We were talking through some things, setting expectations like this is what you're going to do. You should expect this much work. These are some of the tech tools that we're going to be using. I'm excited. Like I'm actually hyped to go in and learn as much as I can because that's really what I'm in. I'm in a season of learning. That experience I think is going to be really awesome. Going out there, not having to take any classes. My plan is to go out there, go to the office and work with him like all day. Listen in on some conversations, bounce off ideas, ask a bunch of questions. That was one thing I was super excited for because we were in the meeting and I was super curious trying to ask questions. It was like, look, if you guys have any questions at all, just ask. After every single like spiel he gave us times like, does anyone have any questions? You guys have any questions? And I just kept shooting off questions over and over again. I think this is gonna be an amazing process to learn. Man, I'm about to learn so much for real. But there was a story that he shared. We were going around introducing ourselves. The question of the day. Question of the day was like, look, if you get sent on death row, you were framed of a crime you never committed. You go to the crime, they say, what do you want your last meal to be? That was the question. I was like, oh man, you know what I want? I'm a Hawaiian barbecue chicken type of guy. So I stacked me up some Hawaiian barbecue chickens. I'm also a cookie guy. So give me some cookies. Man, there's this cool place in New York. I really like them. It's called Levain Bakery. I was like, oh, Levain. I used to live nearby there. And he told this story that I thought was really interesting. I completely had a different interpretation of it, but the way he took it and the approach and perspective that he came from it was very different than what I took away from it. I thought it was just cool seeing a new perspective. Then also another lesson I learned, but I'll share that at the end. But the story with Levain, it's a big New York cookie spot. Like people come to New York. If they come and then they leave without having Levain, then everyone's like, bro, what are you doing with your life? Go and get some Levain cookies. There's this main Levain location, like the first location they ever put up there. It's really small. Because it was the first location, it was like a tiny little basement. With the popularity it has, you can imagine that there's gonna be a long line going outside of it. It's like only a couple, like 3, 5 people can go inside the building. After that, there's a huge line out the door. So he saw this one day, and Levain, they're getting all this business, they're getting all this traction. So they have the bright idea to put a bigger, better building like a couple blocks away. So the way he was describing this to me was like, there's a tiny little bakery spot. It's like a little basement. 3 or 5 people fit in there. Huge line going around the corner. And 2 blocks away from that tiny little store is this massive store where you can go in, you can grab your cookie, no line at all, done. And it was just around the corner. He said something, I didn't fully understand it, but he said something about how he or maybe another person, they went to the people in line at the store. Look, guys, there's a Levain bakery literally right around this corner. Come with me, let me show you so you don't have to wait in line. And when he did that, he was like, look, I've been living here for a couple of years. I know my stuff. You can trust me. And guess how many people left the line? No one. I thought that was super interesting. So I'll share the way I came at it. So the way I thought of it first was there's a book I read called Influence. And in Influence, his name is Robert Cialdini. I'm not super sure how you say it. He studied like the best of the best when it comes to persuasion, like car salesmen and people who make their living off of persuasion. Like even cult leaders, like he looked at them and saw that these people who make their living off of persuasion use a couple of key factors, the key levers that they pull to make people do what they want to do. One of the things was the scarcity principle. The scarcity principle was super interesting to me because one of the stories he told in the book was literally exactly what happened in the story he was selling about the Levain story. People want what they can't have. And when there's a shortage when there's a scarcity of something, people want that thing even more. If you think about this, it kind of makes sense. Let's say you're in this very same situation. There's two Levain bakeries right next to each other. One of them has a huge line. Everyone wants to go in that one. There's a huge line. There's a huge wait list, and that store is scarce. The book says that we're more likely to choose that one because it seems more valuable. And people use this all the time for marketing. One of the people who uses it especially is my guy Alex Hormozi. And he talks about it. He hits on it huge in his book, $100 million offers, and the Lee's book too. Is people will buy scarcity because they perceive it as way more valuable. So that's what I got from the story. I was like, and as he was telling the story, I was like, I think but the he was like, and then he cut me off. He's like, no, I don't want to answer. And he kept explaining his viewpoint. So that was a huge lesson right there. Was that there are times for me to listen. There are times for me to answer or talk. I think, especially that moment, it was definitely a time to just listen and try to think through everything that he was saying because his perspective was actually it was actually really interesting. This is what he said. Look, in this internship, I'm the one with a sign telling come over here, look what's around the corner. It's something that's bigger, better, and faster. And we're the people, me and the other interns who are working there, we're the people in line. And it's up to us to trust him and go with him and look what's around the corner if it's something better. That was the angle that he came at it from. I thought that was really interesting. Was that he's also a member of the church, which I think definitely has something to do with it because I've been really deep diving into this stuff. William James, the pragmatist, and his stuff on the will to believe, I think is really interesting. I think that his approach is kind of it definitely connects to will to believe. Being able to make a jump, being able to make a decision in the face of uncertainty, in the face of a lack of evidence. Because we're not always going to have 100%, oh, if you take these two things and you take these other two things and add them together, you have four things. It's not always going to be that cut and dry. Because especially in business, especially in investing, the way he was explaining it to me and the way I'm going to learn throughout this next couple months, it's complicated. Like the waters are definitely muddy, so you gotta go in expecting that and then see what comes out of it. So that was the big lesson. And then I guess that also lines up with the life update. Because I guess with the life update, I mean the book I'm reading right now is called Copywriting Secrets. I'm trying to learn copywriting is what I'm doing. Because I think learning copywriting will help me in my communication and building websites and writing copy, especially like sales copy for ads and words to go on landing pages and funnels and websites and email scripts. All the things like that, I think having that skill is probably going to be super valuable. So I'm reading that book right now. And I'm also going to do a deep dive into a couple things. There's three things on my mind, really four things that I really want to do a deep dive into. I think today I'm going to focus in on either search funds or Alex Hormozi's Leap book. I think Those are probably the two big things after I wrap up the copywriting book. But the four things are this. The first one is, what are search funds? What are they? How do they work? What am I doing as an intern? And our entire process, because the way he was explaining it, and I'll explain it later, but he was introducing new things that I thought was so interesting. Like this idea, I've listened to a search fund podcast, like 20 plus hours of it, grinded through it. One of the big things that they kept hitting on over and over and over again was this idea of an industry thesis. And it's so interesting because from what I've seen online, there isn't too much documentation, there isn't too much education on what exactly an industry thesis is, how do you form one, the process or systems in place that you can walk through, or framework to walk through how to create an industry thesis. But that's the first project that I'm going to work on, is what is a search fund, and a deep dive into that. One of the things that I just came up the other day was, instead of putting all this work into creating a thesis and making the outreach and making those connections, the huge shortcut would probably be to call up search funds who have already done this, ask them, look, why did you choose the industry you're going into? Why did you choose the business that you bought? What are you doing with the business? And are there any other businesses that you were thinking of buying and that you could point us to, any connections or people that you think we can meet? I think that would be a huge shortcut into doing all this work of research, because they've already done all the work, all the research, all the things, and you could just take whatever they learned. But that's the first thing, is a search fund deep dive. The other one is an assisted living deep dive, diving into what I've been learning and doing for the past couple months. Because I spent this entire summer working with my dad, who runs 3 assisted living homes. I'm going to share everything that I learned. There's certain acronyms that they use in the business that I think I was just trying to pick up on it, like SNFs and ALW and RCFEs, ARFs, all these acronyms that people throw around that I picked up along the way, the whole business model and the way things work. I think it's really interesting. So that'll be the second thing. And the third thing that I really want to do is dive into how luck plays a huge role in success. There's a couple books that I'm planning to read on that topic when I'm diving into that. But like, if you look at the most successful people out there and draw their lives back to when they were little, you could see how much luck played a role. Like, even in my life right now, I wouldn't have ended up scoring this internship if it wasn't for a couple things. If it wasn't for meeting my a mentor who walked me through the entire process. He said, look, Dean, here's how you clean up your resume. Here's what you should do. Next year, you should apply for this program. I'm going to connect you with someone who you might find an internship with. He did that entire thing for me. But I wouldn't even have met him if it wasn't for going to Northwestern. And I wouldn't even have went to Northwestern if I didn't get into the Evans Scholarship. And I wouldn't get the Evans Scholarship if it wasn't for this summer caddy program that I started in high school. I wouldn't have gone through that if I didn't move to Vegas and go to the high school. There's just so many things that lined up, especially like it's luck is what it is. My thesis on luck is like, luck plays a huge role into success, but there's also a way that you can increase your surface area for luck. I think going to a school like Northwestern, just making as many connections as I can, I think that's one way, one of the biggest ways to increase your service area for luck, and being able to take opportunities when they come your way. And I'm definitely going to roll with this in the next coming year. So that's the third project. And the fourth one, the final one, is just trying to make money, because I can do all this stuff, but I still need money to survive. I still need money to do things. So it's running with polytaps, getting leads, getting customers, using Hormozi's lead book, and it's trying to convince like 5 RCFEs, 5 assisted living homes to let me build their website and stuff and generate leads and see where that goes. But there's that, and man, and not even to mention the other internship I got with the venture capital firm. I'm just excited. I'm hyped to learn. I'm going to go out there. It's going to be like not in the classroom where everything's all theory and you're learning about equilibrium and supply and demand stuff. Is like, bro, let me put me in the real field. Let me learn over there. And that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go into the real world, learn for real, for real. I'm super looking forward to that. But yeah, that's it for the pod. I record these episodes completely free to share success with everyone. So the only thing I ask is that if you learned anything or found something interesting in this episode, just leave a review and share it with a friend. Only takes 5 seconds and it would mean the world. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next episode. Tatok, see you.